important and a crucial subject that we all are facing today. Why is cancer increasing despite so much of scientific advance, so many medicines out there? And every day we are seeing younger and younger people in 20s, 30s, and 40s facing cancers, who are healthy people facing cancers. And as of now, we have about 10 million deaths attributed to cancer alone every year around the world. So what is that is missing in understanding the cancer? So in order to understand that, we have to know what we know so far and what we don't know so far. So I'm going to go over these things quickly, but I promise you to avoid using any medical terms that are complex, and I will try to explain my understanding in a very simple and precise manner. So what we know so far about cancer is this: cancer we know there is the seed or the genetics of the cancer, right? If we carry an abnormal cancer causing genes, one can get cancer. Then other is the soil of the cancer. Now soil is diet and environment. What the cancer patient surrounds himself with after being born. So what are the factors that influence the development of cancer is the diet and the environment. So those are the factors. Now, genetics cannot be altered because the person is already born with the cancer causing genes. But this kind of cancer is less than 10% of the total cancers. So genes or abnormal cancer causing genes exist in less than 10% of the cancer population. And if you, just to name a few, you may have heard of BRCA1, BRCA2. So these are cancer causing genes for breast cancer. So, and even in those, the occurrence or incidence is less than 10%. The diet, we usually say, low sugar diet, low cholesterol diet, obesity, those kind of factors that we are all aware of today. And there is no magic pill. It's about controlling your intake, exercising, things like that. The environment, are factors like smoking and hepatitis C. Smoking and hepatitis C are examples of environmental factors causing cancer. We are all aware of this, and hepatitis C causes liver cancer, smoking causes lung cancer, and things like that. Now, this factors, the diet and the environment together contributes to 20 to 30% of the cancers. So this contributes to less than 10% of the cancers, genetics, and diet and environment causes 20 to 30% of the cancers. So majority of the cancers are not in the seed and the soil category. So there is another factor that we are not aware of, which I call is the X factor, or the unknown factor. What is that unknown factor that is causing cancer? And now that is the cause for majority of the cancers in the younger population. And it contributes to nearly 60% of the cancers. So what happens today? So in US alone, we spend around $6 billion for cancer research. And 1 in 2 or 3 people have a risk of developing cancer today. This is the real statistics for today. So what are we doing? So there is no shortage of funds, right? There is a lot of money being invested. Where is this money being invested? What is the purpose of this? And what is the outcome? So today, the cancer treatments are of three types: surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation. So you may have heard all of this. What does the surgery do? It removes the cancer or the tumor, right? And chemo and radiation stops the cancer from growing. So this one stops the growth of the cancer, and this one removes the surgery, removes the cancer. So that is the gist of the treatment that's available today. Now, there is another most important factor for the cancer to spread, which is metastasizing. We call it as metastasizing or spreading. And it spreads from blood, lymph nodes, and other things and reaches the other organs. Now, none of these methods can stop the cancer from metastasizing or spreading. Reason being, they don't know where this signal comes from. Where is the signal coming from to the cancer cells? Where are they getting that signal to spread? How does it grow? How does it mutate? So the next set of scientists came up with another kind of therapy called gene-targeted therapy. Again, these are also a type of a chemotherapy, but what they did is they produced a chemotherapy that is stopping the mutation that is leading to the cancer, which sounds like a very novel idea, and it worked very good for certain kind of cancers. I'll tell you why. There is something called chronic myelogenous leukemia, which is caused by only one chromosome mutation in the Philadelphia chromosome. So this kind of gene-targeted therapy worked very well in CML or leukemia, in this particular type of leukemia, which is caused by one kind of a mutation. But look what we have today. We have so many different kinds of cancers, right? We're going to talk about the three most common type is the breast cancer, lung cancer, and the colon cancer. Now, these three types together constitutes for more than 50% of the cancer in the body. Now, the breast cancer alone is caused by more than 50 different kinds of mutations, not one, more than 50. The lung cancer alone is caused by more than 100 different types of mutations, and colon cancer alone has more than 100 different types of mutations. So any kind of chemotherapy we target we target towards that mutation, it works for only for a few weeks or few months. You must have heard this in cancer survivors. And after some time, the chemo stops working. And then we have to figure out the next chemo targeted towards the next mutation. So how the cancer cells grow and evolve from one mutation to another, when do they evolve, how they evolve, we don't know. So that is why these treatments are still very primitive in nature. So this is very crucial for me to understand. As a doctor myself, I was very perplexed when my mother was attacked with brain cancer. And she's not doing well right now. And she had all these traditional treatments. So my search for cancer treatment started from finding out why it occurs. And that's when I resorted to the ancient wisdom and yoga, which says that cancer is a disease of a state of mind. And you cannot cure the cancer unless you cure the mind. That is what the ancient wisdom talks about. I know it sounds very philosophical coming from an internal medicine doctor like me, But I have gone through those transformation processes myself when I was affected by depression, and how I came out of it by using this wisdom. And that's why this subject is very close to my heart. So what happens? Why haven't the doctors tried to cure the state of mind when the patient comes to them in the first place, right? So what happens in a doctor's office when a newly diagnosed cancer patient comes or walks into my office? So I'm going to share with you a scenario, a typical doctor-patient scenario in an office. So here I have a patient who just walked into my office saying, "Doc, I have some report that is positive in my mammogram." So what do? I start with blood test or labs. I start with the scans. Then I start with her current medical exam. And then I plan her treatment. So it seems like I'm doing a very methodical approach, which is correct, which is what modern medicine doctors should do. So I start with lab scans and the medical exam, and I start. But one of the crucial things, this kind of a study is called a cross-sectional study. So I'm doing a cross-sectional study of my patient. So if you draw a line across this, so I am investigating a patient based on the current situation of that patient. I don't know anything about what happened in the past few weeks or months or years, if the patient was divorced, if there was a death in the family, if the patient had a traumatic relationship, if her child was separated from some a pandemic or a disease or something, or if she had a loss of a job, she lost her most valuable house. So it could be a loss of anything, or just poor cope. Even if there is no loss of anything, it's just poor coping mechanisms. So I don't have any information about the past of this patient. So I make a plan, a cross-sectional study of the patient who's walking into my office, and I plan the treatment. But the most important clue to the cancer treatment is the cause, which is called the cause-effect study. We are not trained to do a cause-effect study in the office for several reasons. It's time-consuming. Because you have only half an hour to an hour to deal with a new patient, and you have to deal with help them psychologically as well, because they are in a state of shock. And if I go into the cause effect study, it's going to take a lot of time. It's time consuming, and I may or may not derive at a conclusion, right? I may not get a measurable risk factor. I may not be able to achieve a preventable risk factor. So the doctors like me don't dwell too much time into the cause effect study. But the cause effect study is what is going to help us understand the cause of the cancer. Only when you know the cause of the cancer, you will know the treatment, or you can treat it better. We know today the pandemic is caused by COVID-19, coronavirus. So we invented a vaccine. We know certain illnesses like pneumonia is caused from bacteria. So we give an antibiotic. But here, in these conditions, we don't know the cause. So we are treating the symptoms here. So we are doing a cross-sectional study, and we are treating the symptoms without investigating into the cause. So what does the ancient wisdom talk about? What is the cause, right? You must be wondering, what is she talking about? Like, what is the cause? So what I describe the X factor. In the first slide, we spoke about the X factor. This X factor that is responsible for majority of the cancers today. younger and younger population, where we see healthier population who don't have a cancer causing gene, who are in a healthy environment, dieting and exercising, and having an abnormal report or a cancer positive. So what is that X factor that is seen in that is common to these cancer patients who don't have the preventable risk factor? So that is what we're talking about here. So this is called the unconscious negative emotions. So when I say negative emotions, often we people think of negative people in the society like mafias or corrupted people or people who do drug deals, scams, things like that. And so it's those are negative people, but these are negative emotions, negative mindsets. So because I had a unique opportunity to deal with such patients ahead of time, before they developed cancer, I was able to connect or do a cause effect study ahead of time, including my mom and several other patients who I had who I had contact with. So I want to share about two very common scenarios that I see in breast cancer. So the reason I picked breast cancer today is, it's spreading like epidemic right now. 1 in 8 or 1 in 10 women in America has a risk of developing breast cancer, according to the current statistics. So here, and younger women with absolutely no risk factors are developing breast cancer. So let's talk about two scenarios to explain what is this unconscious negative emotion that I'm talking about, and why is it not measurable? But it is preventable, but it's not measurable. So this is the 35-year-old, 32-year-old. This 35-year-old had an abortion at a young age, let's say 26 or 28, I don't remember the exact time. And after that, it was very close to her delivery. So it was like a missed abortion. She aborted the baby when she was about 30 weeks. So this was a big shock to her. And after that, the doctors had advised her that it's not safe for her to try pregnancy again, because she was 30 plus and there were other risk factors. So it came in, she could not accept that news. And to her mind kept telling her that she's not good enough to be a mother. So her mind kept telling her things like, I am not good enough to be a mother. I'm not blessed enough. I'm the unlucky soul. Whenever she sees others, families with kids and playing with them, she had that intense desire and longing for something. And it's not just a longing, but she kept blaming herself for not able to become a mother, and for she blamed herself for losing that baby at a very close to her term. So, so at 35 years old, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. She did not have any family history, no other illnesses. She looks like to a normal person, she looks like a normal person from outside, extremely caring, well understood, and she's working. It seems like she's doing everything right in her life. So, but only after the development of cancer is when she started taking psychotherapy and things like that. That's when she realized the pain and the stigma that was in her brain. And she's doing a little much better now with all the treatments. Another 32-year-old lady had a traditional arranged marriage, and after the marriage, she realized that her husband was gay, but she didn't accept it. So she started to manifest, um, herself as being the victim. So her mind started telling her that she is not good enough to consummate a marriage. So obviously the couple were very adorable, lovely. They had a good, very affluent family. Both are from affluent families. She enjoyed partying and going traveling and things like that. But inside their home, they were far from being a real couple. So they had reached this unspoken agreement that they will not talk about um, their their married life, and so she could not accept that her husband was gay, and second, she could not accept that that was the reason for her not able to conceive. So she faced a lot of criticisms from parents and in-laws. She for not being able to become a mother. So a lot of she was carrying a lot of baggage and burden inside, even though outside she appeared very cheerful, very very normal looking person. So these are very normal looking women, beautiful, affluent, intelligent women who were harboring these unconscious negative emotions, and you don't know for how long they've been harboring these things. It goes on for years and years, and when finally it develops like a cancer, they they start going through the checklist with the doctors, like what I said, a cross-sectional analysis. Nobody talks about what happened before, what caused this, because it becomes very draining, boring, and time consuming. And it's also very emotional for them. So, the best thing to do is to understand these factors before you go to that stage. Now, how can we understand these unconscious negative emotions? Now, before we go there is another common factor between these two 35 and 32-year-old, besides being young, besides having the same kind of the breast cancer. They also had a same kind of similar longing to be a mother. And it's not just the longing. There are many people who don't have kids and they're fine with that. They're happy. They adopt or they move on with something else in their life and they're fine. But some people hold on to these emotions so tightly that they feel unworthy. They feel their life is like living like without a purpose. So that is the common thing. And when these women have this kind of a feeling, the maternal hormones, most important ones are estrogen and progesterone. You must have heard of this. These maternal hormones will present as receptors on the breast cancer. I don't want to get into too much of the um, medical explanation, but what I'm trying to tell here is there is a definite connection between how your emotions play on your hormones and how those hormones can attach to the receptors on the cancer producing organs, and those in turn mutate, get signals, and they grow and rapidly divide. So these unconscious negative emotions are the main factor or the X factor that is controlling these cancers. And in order for us to understand these emotions, you have to first understand yourself. This is not something that a doctor can help you understand. This is not something your spouse can help you, or a friend. This is about self realization. What is that is making me truly happy? What is that I'm working for in my life? What is that I'm not happy about, or what is that I want to improve? So things like that. So people are so caught up in their daily routine and mundane things of life, getting up, going to work, coming back, talk to, watch TV for some time, go back to bed. So they don't talk to themselves, and that is where yoga and meditation plays a crucial role. And the whole purpose of my teaching wholesome yoga and meditation is to help people understand their body and minds, because it plays a crucial role in this cancer causing signals. You can call it as signals that produces these cancers. So before I end, I want to tell about, I want to end with a quote from Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs died at 53 from battling pancreatic cancer. He had all the wealth in the world. So he says, the few favorite things, the most favorite things in my life are free of cost. And but the most precious thing that we all have is time. So I have dedicated my rest of the time to spreading awareness about this, to create um, to create an atmosphere where people can come together, try to understand their body and minds, try to figure out what gives them happiness. When you understand your inner self, you can know which part of the body is unhappy, or which part of the body is sending those signals, and we can try to cure them or nip them at the bud, rather than waiting for this whole thing to happen. So thank you so much for this opportunity.